sometimes Facebook lets me down. It takes a while to upload. Hi guys, it's your boy M.K.S here, back with another video, and I'm live on Facebook and YouTube as per usual at the same time, just in case. So I hope at least one of them will have a copy of this video for as long as possible, preferably for good. But yeah, preferably both of them as well. Preferably for good. Yeah, but anywho, I thought I'd make one more video before I go to the gym. So welcome to the third and penultimate part of Black Wednesday. So sometimes I've not managed to get around to part 4, which is a bit strange considering my brother no longer works from home. Well, he's quit his work at the moment before he gets a new job, hopefully, from his point of view. But yeah, I would expect to be able to finish all 4 parts, but for whatever reason I've been struggling to do that, because before I had to wait till like 6 o'clock for my brother to finish, whereas now I can record for most parts of the day, except for any part of the day except for when I'm out or whatever. Nice life story. I had, talking about life stories, I thought I'd tell you I had some Weetabix. Now I only have Weetabix when I'm either going to play football, which I never really get to now anyway, or Entrical when I'm going to the gym, especially on Wednesdays, Weetabix Wednesdays. But it tastes like what I imagine cardboard would taste like without sugar. So unfortunately I have to have sugar, which does give me that extra energy. But things like Weetabix, bananas, and Lucozade and energy drinks generally, I only really have when either I'm playing football, which again I don't really get to play football much, and or I'm going to the gym, or if I went swimming, if I got back into swimming, so if I got back into football and or swimming, I would. But other than that, I pretty much don't really have that kind of stuff. Like if I was sitting and watching YouTube, I wouldn't really have any of those things, especially not Weetabix or bananas or whatever. But energy drinks I pretty much never really have unless I'm at the gym or swimming or walking or whatever, trying to burn it off as well. So it has to give me the energy to train, hoping I'm going to burn it off. I know I do overdo it, like when I went to play football I had like 18 bottles of Lucozade or whatever each time, but in my defence I was playing football, but still. But yeah, if I went to a party or something I wouldn't really do that. I'd probably just have like orange juice if I'm in a healthy mood, or Coke or whatever if I'm not in a healthy mood. But anyway, on to the topic at hand. These are pointers number 21 to 30. But yeah, I had chips and Weetabix for my lunch, for my breakfast, lunch and dinner, because I didn't really eat for a while and I was really tired and I didn't feel too good. So I think it's probably because I wasn't eating. Like yesterday I didn't have anything to eat, but I didn't feel hungry. But anyway, I'm going to try and stop talking about myself and talk about the things like black wealth creation. I think of things that begin with W because it's Wednesday, and given my use of alliterations. So here goes. So I may say number 31 again then, but number 21 again. I'd love for people to find out, point number 21 again. I'd love for people to find out about Black Wall Street and the Windrush generation and their stories, which I talked about in parts 1 and 2. I might even cover them in part 4 as well, but I'd love for people to find out more about them and their history. There was a point I was going to say in point number 26. I deliberately left it from yesterday to today, but I wasn't counting on things, so I'm hoping I'll remember it. I think it was probably something to do with reparations, because it is the 26th today, and I think of reparations. But it's a bit annoying, but I've sort of forgotten it. Yeah, today I've been a bit tired and under the weather for a while, but I guess it was because I hadn't eaten for a while. But then when I did eat, I guess I got the energy back. So yeah, it's probably because I didn't eat properly. But I'm hoping I can do about at least an hour, if not 1.5 hours in the gym. But so I'll try and finish this, go off to the gym, come back, and then upload part 4. But I didn't get any writing done. I'd love to be able to get that done if I could as well. A little bit of writing on paper, which I like to do on papers. Yeah, I hope I remember what I was going to say in point number 26. But moving on, number 22. Point number 22. I'd love to know what your suggestions are. Like, how would you empower Black women and especially, and Black people generally around the world? Again, due to my silly patterns and alliterations, I'm thinking of women's empowerment on Wednesday, which is a difficult area, but yeah, I'd love to know what you would do to empower Black women, let's say Black women in politics, business, tech, STEM, fashion, or any other areas, business, banking, poetry, art, writing, or whatever it might be, that can empower black women? What do you think are the best areas to empower black women, and what areas do you think black women could build businesses and wealth in? Point number 23, what are some ways to fundraise, let's say, for black women in business and that kind of thing? And as I talked about in part 2, I wonder if someone like Damon John, or someone who is a great unifier, a great black leader and unifier from the black community, someone like Damon John maybe, I'll say, who does already run like Black Entrepreneurs Day, or if he could, I mean, it might be something he doesn't want to do. It could be too much responsibility. He might say, I can't really guarantee success, and I don't want people to get angry or whatever. But it could be something that he might think is a good idea. So I wonder if Damon John or someone like that could, or someone who could be appointed by the black community, who they might say is like a really important figure who helps people, like, I can't remember his name. That's frustrating. Brain's just not working. The guy, I think, Will Smith, Chris Gardner, I think that's it, Chris Gardner, who helped to pay off loads of students' debt. And it was probably students more generally from poorer backgrounds. Many of them will be black as well, but some will probably be Hispanic or Latino. But yeah, some might help historically black colleges or whatever it might be, high schools or colleges or unis here in Britain. But we don't really have any like that. And I know it's controversial. Some people might say it's like segregation. I mean, believe it or not, like life has many strange surprises. If you do things, it might not be the way, not have the results you expect. Like, for instance, with feminism, they say, like, this is not just a black issue, but generally with feminism, with women's rights and that kind of thing, they say women can do anything a man can do or more, and they're strong and independent and don't need a man and that kind of thing. And you might think their standards would drop. So like, someone like me who never wanted to be a provider might think, oh, that would be pretty cool. But then again, you'll find, like, as women earn more money, they still want men who earn more than them. Controversial view, but by and large, that seems to be the case. So in the past, like, Homer Simpson could work at a power plant, but now it's like he's got to build the power plant or multiple power plants or earn a six-figure salary. I've gone a bit off topic, but it's an example. But people say that integration was the worst thing to happen to the black community, because it meant that, like, where they couldn't get jobs in the mainstream society, I'm thinking of America mainly, but they weren't given those opportunities. And I suppose that's where things like DEI, diversity, equity and inclusion, or whatever, needed to come along. Some people might think it shouldn't be along, but now the US government is scrapping it. But according to a black empowerment guy called Claude Anderson, I'm not sure if he's still with us, but he talked about, like, integration, believe it or not. He didn't say believe it or not, but what many people might think is a really good thing and an important thing. But I suppose it would be like me going, or people generally who are not from a well-to-do background, going out for drinks with people who earn a lot more and having to pay our way is going to be difficult. And another thing is, if you're not given those job opportunities, because sometimes we will have subconscious bias. They employ people who are more like themselves. So it's not that sometimes it might be deliberate, like white people who don't want to employ black or other people or non-white people, but sometimes it might be they just employ people like themselves, like white males or whatever, historically, without really thinking about it. Like, this guy ran a business and someone actually challenged him and said, like, although he was of Lebanese descent, probably in America came across a bit more like white, and he said he didn't really think about who he employed. He just happened to be that thinking, that he employed more Europeans or whatever, people of European descent. If they create their own wealth, their own opportunities, businesses, that's what Claude Anderson says. And there's another guy whose name I can't remember, but not working again. I mean, they say similar things to Robert Kiyosaki, but specifically for the black community. So one I mentioned quite a lot is Robert Kiyosaki, who is, of course, of Japanese descent, as you might imagine, a Japanese American guy. But for people who might have watched a few of my videos, you might mention notice I mention them quite a lot. But if they build their own wealth, if they invest together, if they have a unifying figure who invests on their behalf, then they can recreate Black Wall Street. If they, I think some people might have already done that, but they can build it back to how good it used to be, or even better. And maybe even, for instance, it could be worldwide, and it could sell more things and do more, and that kind of thing, especially with more money around the world. It could be about black people investing together and things like that. So it could go from a small place called Tulsa. I don't know huge about it, but I know it was Black Wall Street, was a part of Tulsa, and they used to call it Little Africa, as well as Black Street. There was Black Wall Street, so it's called Black Wall Street. It was called Black Wall Street and Little Africa, and it was in Tulsa, Oklahoma, or whatever. I think. But yeah, so I'd love for people to find out more about the history, and if you want to post any links about either Windrush, Black Wall Street, Andrew Core, Black Wealth Building, or anything about Black empowerment in the comments, please feel free to do so. And also Native American empowerment. I know it's I say Black Wednesday, but also Native American or POC generally, and neurodiverse people, any of that kind of stuff. Andrew Core, neurodivergent people, as I say. If they build wealth together, so maybe Damon John could say that's a good opportunity, and it could help himself as well. So it might be something where he says where he has more money from the global black diaspora, putting money into an account that he might run. He might be able to found that account, or set it up basically, and it could be something that helps him to make more money as well as helping others to invest. So as he helps them to grow their wealth, he also could grow his wealth. Or it could be someone like, I say, that guy I said earlier, his name I've forgotten because my brain's not working. Chris Gardner, that's it, or someone like that, or whoever, someone who may be nominated from the black diaspora. Or there could be different ones in like Britain, a leader, someone like Dean Forbes or something like that, who could be nominated to help them to invest their money. I'd love to do similar things for Native people from across the Americas, and for neurodivergent people, like with Richard Branson, Virgin Money, and Richard Branson through Virgin Money, and also Schwab Corp, investing on money, maybe working together, as I talked about before. But I have to talk more about that in December, for like dyslexia December. But moving on that note, number 24. As I say, normally each day I like to think of different themes, and I go on alliterations sometimes, or most of the time. So like Wednesdays, W, but I also think like worldwide. I think like 24 hours in a day, 24, and nations' independence and all that kind of thing. Maybe black people could support African countries, especially on their independence days. So black people around the world could celebrate Nigeria's Independence Day on the 1st of October, South Africa's Independence Day, which I think is in April or May, I can't quite remember, and special occasions for African nations. And they could invite people from the black diaspora to Central Africa, South Africa, Nigeria, Cameroon, and other parts of Africa. And again, they could learn from each other and invest together and run wealth management events and asset management events and things like that. Again, think of words that W like wealth and that kind of thing. But asset management, I suppose, is sort of connected as well. But yeah, I sort of have a strange connection because I think like 24 hours in a day, and I think of national days, independence days, and all that kind of thing. A strange, weird sort of connection, admittedly. By the way, that was a good way. But moving on, number 25. I think, I think it would be very beneficial to work together. We are #stronger together. They could say. Number 26. Again, there was something I was thinking about reparations, and I was going to include yesterday. I thought I'd wait till today because it's 26th. But again, as my brain's not working, I can't remember it. But I know I talked about like tax exemptions, getting more funding, how they could have business and tech hubs and centres. They could be for minorities, including the black community, more investments and things like that. And a controversial view, controversial reason why I want to support the black community, I guess you could say, is kind of to reparate them for, like, when people say the N-word or N-trick or any other racial slurs, and being told to go back to their own country, and basically the racial discrimination they've experienced as well as slavery, colonialism, empire, and that kind of thing. Empire and colonialism are sort of mixed together. It's also connected, I guess, but due to being an anti-imperialist. But again, there's something I was going to say, but I completely forgotten. But yeah, I'd love to sort of reparate them by supporting them to build wealth and that kind of thing. I hope that makes sense. I know I have my quirky ways. Number 27, I normally talk about like the Wall of Fame, and Walk of Fame, Hall and Walk of Fame. And I'm thinking of alliterations, words that move W as well. I know Hall doesn't, but websites that could be listed like those who have invested the most into the black community and that kind of thing, which I hope to talk more about tomorrow. And I think the reward of coming together and supporting each other and like being united, not ripping each other off, doing what's best for each other, talking about positive things for each other, and that kind of thing. The reward is that they can do well, not just in the short term, but more so even in the longer term, because they're building together. Whereas if they rip people off or whatever and try and make a quick buck by scamming people or ripping people off, then in the longer run they might not be better off, hopefully, because obviously they would deserve it more if they work together. So hopefully they'll be better off all being well if they work together and support each other. I also hope, I know I mentioned as well a lot about how I'd love for them to support Italian football and help Italian football and Celtic to be world class, and maybe as a reward for me supporting them. Quirky idea I think of, and improving relations between Italians and Celts, Celtic supporters, and the black diaspora through football, as well as like native people across the Americas and neurodivergent people. Number 28, I hope they can use those negative situations, and I hope I remember what I was going to say yesterday, today. But anyway, I know I deliberately waited till today because it's the 26th, I'll say, but then I forgot, so the plan backfired. But hopefully they can turn negative situations into positives to build wealth together. Number 29, I love for POC to come together and support each other, not in hate of anyone, but just to love each other and work together against white supremacy and that kind of thing. And number 30, I know we say a dirty one, and it rhymes with dirty, but I probably shouldn't say it, but I talked about like when I ate polar mints, I thought like some dirty thoughts like about interracial, like with coloured guys of colour screwing white chicks, like because white hole polos are mints with hole, white mints with holes. I know, I'm terrible, but anyway, please wish me well at the gym all the same, and please forgive my working mind and weird habits. I know I'm mad, but almost mad. I was going to say something about if I was a white supremacist, what I would stand for, and doing the opposite to that. So someone mentioned this thing. This is probably where I got the idea from, when they said, if I was the devil, this is what I would do. And some people say these things have happened in America or whatever. Conspiracy theorists or whatever they say, like about the Illuminati or taking over the government or whatever, the media and that kind of, all those things together. In fact, I was thinking like if I was a white supremacist, what would I want to do? And I'm going to talk about that, hopefully, if I remember this time, in part 4. So hopefully I'll remember all the things I was going to cover, and as per usual, talk about what I hope to achieve in the future. And out, and peace and love.